God of War 4 is one of my favorite games ever. So when Fortnite added Kratos to the item store, I just had to make his cabin and the nature around it. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing. Let's get on with it, let's go! The colors in Fortnite looks extremely saturated, so one thing that we want to do when making this is setting camera filter to low exposure. I also have time of day 7 PM, light brightness 100%, light color white, and 30% white fog. And you can see this fits much better with the God of War theme. The galleries that I use, you can see on the screen right now. When I build, I prefer to have all the props out in the world like this, so that it's super easy to just find whatever I want and copy paste it. I start off with this round plank from Viking Longhouse. It is one of the few blocks that I'm going to use from that gallery. Same with this door here, except that's from the Pirate Gallery, and it's the only prop that I'll use from there. You can see now that I'm resizing quite a bit. Usually when I build houses, I try to make them as close to the default size as possible because it's much easier to work with. Because once you start resizing one thing in a weird way, everything else has to sort of connect to it, which makes it a little bit harder to build. But since this is such a simple build, and I really wanted to have it be the right shape to make it look like Kratos Cabin, so I felt like it would be worth putting some extra time into resizing just to get it right. I will of course not have the front of the hut right here. I just wanted to start building it close to the galleries so that I could easily reach them whenever I needed something, and then copy paste it to a better position, which is here. For the very rough feeling that Kratos Cabin has, I'm going to use these logs as the edge of the roofs. The other wooden building pieces that I have look pretty refined, which doesn't really fit with the theme of his cabin. It makes it look like some sort of a modern mansion kind of hut, which is not really what I'm going for. But just combining this with those logs gives it the cozy cabin in the woods feeling that I'm going for. My favorite grass piece in this game is from the swamp galleries. The color for this looks so much more natural for grass as the original grass does, which is way too green. And I'm using this for the roof here. The left side of Kratos' roof goes all the way down to the ground, which is really cool and cozy looking. So I'm just copy pasting to finish the roof, and you can already see that this is starting to really look like something cool. Lots left though, especially nature. This is how the colors look like without low exposure. And as you can see, this is way too colorful for God of War. But I kind of wanted to just put this on for a little bit, just to fully get the feel for how this color would look. Because despite it not fitting, it still looks kind of cool. Now that the exterior of the hut is mostly done, it is time for some terraforming. And that is probably the most important part of Kratos' cabin. Because just his cabin is just a cabin, but there is so much beautiful nature around there. And I'm gonna try to replicate that as closely as I can. This block here is very good for terraforming, making some beautiful ground. You can spin it around in a circle, resize it to be a little bit shorter in height, and then you can just place them all kind of overlapping each other a little bit, and then you will have sort of a flat snowy place with some areas that are not fully covered in snow, and the whole thing will have a little bit of differentiation in height, and that makes the whole thing look super natural. Also, you can tilt this whole flake a little bit, and also you can overlap areas like this just to make sure everything looks right. Towards the end of the fight with Baldur, the man who cannot feel, Kratos fights him a little further away from the house on the front side. That is what I'm building right here. There is also a cliff here, which I'm also going to build. Also notice in this little clip here that the cabin is further elevated than the final Baldur arena. So I'm just gonna copy paste that and lower it a little bit. I'm gonna use this giant glacier for the cliff and also for the elevation to just tilt it a little bit and have that be the path. Also notice how it's a slightly different color from the other snow. That for some reason does not end up looking bad in the end. I don't really know why. For these mountains that I'm going to surround the cabin with, I'm actually using the dirt cliffs. They look really nice with the low exposure setting, and also I'm combining it with the snow mountains. The grey and brown looks pretty nice together, I think. To make it look extra alive, I add a bunch of plants everywhere of different kinds, mostly pine trees and birch trees. Also this large bush. I also like to have some of the trees tilt out a little bit. It's like that in the game as well. Then when I have a rough feeling of the kind of nature that I want to have around here, I'll just copy paste it and put it all over the place. It might look a little bit weird from above, but from the ground here, you can't really see past the trees on top here. I'm just adding a couple more trees. I went a little bit overkill here and ended up removing some of those, but we're really getting somewhere. I'm grabbing some more grass from the roof and changing its size to be very tall and also a little thin sometimes. If placed carefully, that can look really cool. A little bit of a mix of something being really snowy and also not snowy all over the place, which is how the nature in God of War 4 is. Now I'm gonna copy paste some more of these mountains, because across the cliff here, far far away, there's big mountains and there's a huge valley here that I'm also going to make. For some fog in this valley, I'm using something from the particle gallery that makes a lot of awesome fog, which also looks super good in the sunlight. I'm also gonna place this all over the trees around here, and that looks amazing. I did not spare this building piece. I used it all over the place, and I do not regret it. On the ground here, I used the fog piece from Spooky Gallery for extra epicness. And for super mega ultra epicness, I'm going to have some mountains all in the distance. This one is made by dirt, and some of these other ones will be made by the glacier. I ended up liking the glacier one the best, to my surprise. Even though it's very big and bulky, when it's a lot of fog in between, it kind of looks like it's far in the distance. And that was what I was going for. I know this might not be the God of War soundtrack. I wanted to use it, but I was afraid of copyright, and I didn't really want to risk that. That's also why the God of War clips in this video doesn't have any sound. But I really think that the music that I've been using in this video have been doing God of War justice. This song here is Ragnarök by Marc Jungermann. The previous music that we've been listening to is from Edvard Bolås. You should definitely check out those two channels in the description. And also say hi from me. The interior I'm just gonna time-lapse through I tried to make it as similar as possible to the game, where there's 2 beds in the back corner, sort of blocking the back door. Also there's that little hatch door, where Atreus hides from Baldur. If you have watched this far without skipping, I really appreciate it. You're awesome. If you did skip to the end, however, because you wanted to see the fabulous build, you're still awesome, but you won't have the satisfaction of knowing this, unfortunately. This right here is the default setting. Notice how extremely colorful it is. It's pretty glorious, but it's not exactly God of War. Here's another glorious light setting. Here the light brightness is set to 0. I love how the fog really brightened things up. Looks really like ghostly. Thank you so much for watching. I've been working all day on this one, to be honest. I just really wanted to get this one done the day where it came out because I'm just too excited and I won't be able to sleep before this video is done. That's just how my brain works. So it's been a busy day. Pretty proud. Thanks again for watching and have a great day.